Good day, guys, and welcome to luimarco's Natural Bodybuilding and Fitness Daily. I salute you wherever you are. Minus 20 outside, so it is extremely cold, freezing to the limit. And if you see my face glowing, we need to put some cream up here in Canada during this time of the year, because the skin, especially your face skin, is exposed to those harsh weather conditions. If you guys live in Northern European countries, you know what I'm talking about. You live in Denmark, Sweden, you guys pretty much have almost the same weather. Sweden, baby. By the way, I salute you in Sweden. A lot of people from that country hitting on me on my Facebook. Also some ladies. Anyway, let's get back to business. I received a question yesterday about genetics in general. We talk usually about exceptionally good genetics. We tell that, for example, Phil Heath has tremendously he is actually as a matter of fact, he's called the gift, right? Phil the gift Heath, and the gift comes from gifted because he is genetically gifted, like we've pretty much never saw during the last decade. The last dude who was close to that crazy genetic probably was Flex Wheeler back in the 90s. So extremely rare, even in the pro bodybuilding circuit, to see somebody with that 3D muscle is quite rare. As a matter of fact, top 10, the whole top 10, usually in Mr. Olympia, these guys are all like top-notch genetics, and from those bunch, Phil Heath is like the king, right? The cream of the cream. Anyway, is there something else called bad genetic, like extremely bad genetic? Yes, it exists. We need to be honest. Of course, a lot of people will try to stay politically correct and say, okay, you have an average genetic like most of us, like myself, right? As a matter of fact, myself, I even consider myself having a little bit below average genetic, right? But on the other end of the spectrum, if we accept the fact that there are people with very good genetics, there should be, the opposite, which means people with just very bad genetics. It exists. We need to be honest, right? And sometimes, you know it offhand. You will see somebody, or his general physical condition is just not good. It is just the way it is, right? So yes, it exists. Thankfully, though, those are extremely rare cases. Most of us, 99% of the population, will have just average genetic, which are good as well, and they will be able to develop a very good, muscular body. When it comes from the bodybuilding standpoint, they will be very successful, right? I'm not talking about professional bodybuilders, because, as I said, usually by all measures, to top 10, if you don't have exceptional good genetics, even with all the chemical add-ons, illegal add-ons you can add to your body, you probably will not even crack the top 10, right? You can ask anybody who is knowledgeable in the subject, and they will probably answer the same thing. The last person, if I recall, who had like a very average genetic and was able to crack the top 10 and go higher in the Olympia ranking was probably, if I'm not mistaken, Richard Gaspari back in the 80s, right? He has basically very average genetic, and he was able to go up to the number 2 spot in the Mr. Olympia for 1 year. But back then the competition was not as good as it is right now. As per now, as far as I know, everybody is top-notch, right? And as I said, genetics play a major role in your whole body development. I'm going to give you an example, and you guys will understand it, because it is a current example. And please allow me to stay in the pro bodybuilding ranks, because, fortunately, natural bodybuilders do not have that exposure. All of you guys know a dude called Branch Warren, right? Branch Warren, he placed second, not this year, but the year before, if I'm not mistaken. He was injured lately. Anyway, if you don't know him, go to Big J Fitness channel. You will see him posing with Big J a few years back. This dude is known as one of the strongest guys right now in the circuit. Not only that, he has pretty much the best set of wheels in the pro bodybuilding circuit, meaning he has the best legs, right? Like the most massive legs, you know, striations, feathers everywhere and whatnot, really big, like a dinosaur for that matter, right? There's that dude, and his training partner, interestingly, is Jackson, Johnny Jackson. They train together, both of them in Texas. They're well known to train like with high intensity workout like crazy. Now, his other partner, Johnny Jackson, has the worst, bar none, the worst pair of wheels in the pro bodybuilding circuit. His legs are really skinny compared to the other guys by bodybuilding standards, right? Let's let's put an emphasis on that point. So you got one guy with the best legs training with the guy with the worst legs. Now, the other point is that Johnny Jackson, on the other hand, has the best back of the pro bodybuilding circuit. Period. The best back. Better than that of Jay Cutler, better than that of Phil Heath. If we take into account, you know, his wider and, you know, thicker, the lower back is like freaking pipes, for God matter. He is also the strongest bodybuilder, right? Pro bodybuilder, like the one that cracks the top 10, right? Don't tell me about that guy called Stan something, right? Because Stan something is not an Olympia competitor. Anyway, so you got the guy with the best legs training with the guy with the worst legs. And the other guy who has the worst legs has the best back. Whereas Branch Warren's back is his weakest point. Probably one of the worst of the top 10. So there you have it. Even though these guys train together, the same gym facility, probably they take the same supplement and the same other stuff, but they cannot change their genetics. I mean, they train the same thing. And, you know, their chest development is tremendous in both cases, right? I mean, Johnny Jackson, when he does basically a side chest, his chest is so big, it will basically touch his face. So it is that big. So they were able to develop the other muscle groups. However, their weakest point is still the weakest point, even they're basically lifting crazy weights and training together. So you cannot modify your genetic at the end of the day, right? You got what you got and you need to deal with it. That brings me back to my first subject. Very bad genetics do exist, and unfortunately, there is nothing we can do about it. We need to accept it. If we accept the fact that there are basically exceptional genetic packages out there, like that of Phil Heath and Jay Cutler and so on, we need to accept, even though it is not politically correct, there are some people who have just shitty genetics when it comes to strength, to muscular development and so on, and even with chemical add-ons. Fortunately, they will not be able to do it. It is what it is. This is reality, right? We do not live in a perfect world. It comes with the territory. But thankfully, though, most of us have good enough genetics to develop a satisfying physique. But yes, my answer to you is that yes, there are people with just crappy genetic, and they will do whatever they wish, and there is nothing they can do about it. As a matter of fact, I received an email lately from the Hodge twins about a certain person, and I agree with their statement. They told me, listen, that person has the crappy genetic, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that even like he can do whatever he wish. Unfortunately, he will not develop a bodybuilding physique. It just exists. It comes with territory. We need to accept that fact. And any exercise I will tell you right off the bat when basically he comes across a person who has that crappy genetic. So that's it. Yes, sir. There are people with just crappy genetic, but most of us, 99% of us are, average and regular genetic, and we have the other spectrum, the other side of the spectrum with people with very exceptionally gifted genetics. Thank you for listening to me, guys. Have yourself a very good day. Again, salute you wherever you are. Especially my friends from Sweden. They're basically communicating with me a lot lately. I don't know, maybe they're sharing the cold with us here in Canada. So salute you wherever you are, and take care of the ladies for me there. Have a nice one, guys.